What's up, everybody? MeatRobots once again. Today we are having the pleasure of live streaming over Periscope, although I don't think anyone's going to really tune in over that.
We'll see.
We'll see. So, as always, be sure to check us out: Facebook, Twitter,
Instagram, website.
We'll put all those things in the description.
Yeah, we'll give you links. We'll make it easy for you. I know everyone wants the easy path, so we'll make it easy for you.
We'll even put links, yeah.
Today, let's talk about... Which one are we going to talk about?
Well, I'd like to talk real quick about just dieting. A lot of people are using this flexible dieting if it fits your macros, and there's misconceptions about it. Misconceptions in that people use it wrong, and misconceptions in that people think that the people that use it wrong are doing it right, doing it the way it's intended to be.
Yeah, I think people use this like a health substitute. They're just like, hey, I can be healthy if I if it fits my macros.
If I can count, yeah.
Yeah, if you
I'm
can
healthy
count protein,
if I can count.
carbs, fat, and total calories, then that constitutes health. But it really doesn't.
It's a big step. I will not lie. Like, first step I would ever advise to someone in making diet gains and creating a better diet for themselves would be count your calories. That's always the first step I advise to anybody.
Yeah, and then you fine tune it as far as what the macro.
Or maybe if they're not quite ready for that, I say cut out soda.
Yeah, knowing how many calories you eat is a huge advantage to any sort of goal you have. If you're trying to lose weight, count your calories and weigh yourself.
I mean, it creates this accountability, and it creates this actual, like, factual record.
It's data. Yeah, it's real data that you can look at progress. You can look at trends.
Yeah,
if you're not losing your weight, lower your calories down. And if you're weighing yourself every single day, you should have a good idea of what you actually weigh. And if you're counting your calories every day, you should know how much energy you're taking in. And when it comes to energy balance, more energy, more weight. Well, it depends on just the balance of it all.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people subscribe to this, like, I should only weigh myself weekly or monthly or whatever.
Or they check body composition like in a mirror more than the scale because you know you're more than just a number. But
I think that's a fairly good record, but I think it's a better measurement than scale weight.
Right,
but
and if you're trying to change body composition, people are like,
people are bad at interpreting it.
Yeah, and if they say, okay, well, I'm losing fat, but I'm gaining muscle, so the weight on the scale is dumb, like it doesn't mean anything. That's false, because if you need to lose like 10% of your body fat, like if you have a lot of body fat to lose, you're not going to be able to replace that fat with muscle mass. It's just not going to happen.
Well, it's hard.
It's a much slower process than
newbie gains. Definitely will lead to some muscle gain with fat loss.
Yeah.
Like, newbie gains are the most amazing thing in the world. Like, the first month you train will probably bring the greatest body composition changes you can ever hope for. I think a lot of people are like chasing newbie gains. They want to have the same gains they had the first month they were lifting. I would love that. If my body could change again in like just the amount that it changed when I first started lifting, that would be amazing. Yeah. And I didn't do anything different with my diet. I was a teenager. I just worked out. It worked well for me.
So I guess there's some misconceptions come into play with if it fits your macros. Well, first of all, that just means you can eat whatever food you want as long as it fits your calories, your protein, carbohydrates, and fat requirements. And the protein, carbs, and fat, you can change those around a little bit depending on your goals.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's definitely debates on if it fits your macros, and I mean, like, it's not, I guess, a set in stone thing. It's something that you can adjust person to person.
Right.
Some people will choose a lower carb if it fits your macros style, but really the whole thing of it is, I have these numbers, I'm trying to hit as close to these numbers as possible. It's pretty much impossible to hit exactly the numbers, but like coming within, like, I would say like
5 to 10 grams.
That's pretty tough
That's
too.
pretty,
I would
that's
say
pretty
like
good.
I
You
would
can make it.
I would give myself maybe like 20 grams of leniency depending on
Depending on the macro.
Like
You can be more flexible with
maybe
protein
like a
if you go over.
10%
Yeah.
wiggle room. And
I think you want to be as close to the calories as possible, though.
yeah, calories you definitely want to be as close as you can get.
That one's easier.
And of course,
to get closer
if you're trying to gain weight, err on the side of caution by eating extra calories. Maybe overshoot it by 100. If you're trying to lose weight, maybe undershoot it by 100 rather than overshooting it.
And then again, if you're tracking your weight and you're tracking your calories, if you're not gaining weight, up your calorie intake by 250, 300, maybe even 500 calories. If you're trying to lose weight, maybe decrease it by 200, 300 calories at a time if you're not really making any progress the way you want to on the scale.
Yeah, that's another thing is like I can determine like a pretty good estimate based on numbers, based on my age, weight, body fat percentage, and a few different factors. That's a great starting point.
I never really do that. I never use a calorie counter. I just look
guess?
I just look at the calories, and if I'm not putting on weight, then I eat more calories.
I think that's about as good of a method, but like I like to find a starting point. I like to use like a basal metabolic rate calculator. That you can find a formula for that online. You could even type in numbers to a website and have it calculated for you.
And that's all based on your age, your sex.
Yeah,
your,
age, sex, height,
body fat.
weight, and I think there's some that include body fat, and there's some that include an activity factor, and those are the ones I really like.
Like if you work and you stand up all day, or like you're moving around all day, or maybe you have a desk job so you sit a lot.
As compared to the just standard one, I don't like to try and calculate all of my physical activity in calories because I think that's really, really variable. Mm-hmm. I think like an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu one day can be...
Well, here's the thing. I don't want to be sacrificing movement in the sake of, like in my case, like putting on mass. Like, oh, I'm gonna go play more today. I'm gonna go out and hike. I gotta eat more calories. I just try to have a general number that I'm always hitting, and just let my activity fall wherever it is. And if I'm not gaining weight, then eat more food. But I don't track it day to day because I don't want to sacrifice movement and activity just because, like, oh, that means if I hike for an hour, that means I have to eat 300 more calories today or something like that.
That's why I use this like activity factor number. It's just like a little addendum at the end where you like multiply like the number the BMR gives you. Yeah. And it's supposed to be like 1.1 to 1.9, but sometimes I go up to like 2.1 or something because I'm a pretty active guy and I'm still young and I'm still growing.
Yeah, it's hard to scale how active I am. Like when they say very active, I compare myself to like an NFL football player. Like they are super, super active, and I feel like that's the top level of activity.
Absolutely,
and I'm nowhere near that. Like I super active, but at the same time,
but that number's also kind of just like a wiggle room number.
Yeah, it's a wiggle room.
It allows for like, oh, I'm quite active, I have a fast metabolism, this and that and the other thing. So I really prefer to use that activity factor, and I adjust that number to be as close to where I am as possible. And that's what I feel accounts for variances in my day-to-day calorie expenditure and metabolism and things. Just because I know it's not going to be 100% consistent throughout my week, but generally I'm doing the same activities each week. So if I look at these numbers, if I look at these numbers on a weekly average, they balance each other out pretty well. Yeah. Because it's pretty consistent week to week, like how much effort I'm putting in to an activity, how many activities I'm doing, how long I'm spending on them.
Right.
So
I guess the benefits of if it fits your macros, that's synonymous with flexible dieting. You can pretty much eat whatever you want as long as it hits these numbers, and that's the great appeal to it. Like, if I need to get more carbs, I can have a donut. If I need to,
it's really
I can
good.
eat whatever I want. Timberwolf he'll eat a lot of Pop-Tarts and donuts and fast food burgers and stuff like that, just because it fits his macros.
It's really good for weight control, and you have to be a lot more specific about it. Like calories probably are enough to make it work for weight control, but for like body composition, for straight up body composition, if you just want to lose a ton of weight, just calories are probably enough. But then
maybe control your carbohydrates a little bit.
Yeah, when body fat, and you really want to be burning body fat or gaining muscle and not fat, you do have to be more specific with the macros that you choose. And that's where you have to get a little bit more dialed in with it. I've played around with this a bunch. I'm not currently doing flexible dieting because I don't have any major body composition or weight goals at the moment.
You're just eating food.
I'm just eating food, and I'm getting stronger. I kind of want to hang out around where I am, and I'm doing that just with the natural amount that I'm hungry for. Because it can get a little bit annoying to count macros. There's some very successful people in the fitness community who don't have any like super specific kind of dieting. They just eat quality foods, and that works for them.
Well, let's talk about that, quality food. So if it fits your macros,
that's
allows you to eat whatever you want as long as it fits these parameters of these macronutrients, then you can get away with eating not very healthy food. Like I said, you can eat donuts, you can eat, I don't know, Fruity Pebbles. You can eat whatever you want as long as it hits these numbers, and that's not always the healthiest choice. When it comes to food, we have two different options. We have nutrient-dense foods and nutrient-bare foods.
And I mean, I guess on the flip side, you also have energy-dense versus energy-bare foods.
Yeah.
So like
sometimes nutrient-dense foods, let's say a salad, has a lot of nutrients in it, but it doesn't have a lot of calories.
Yeah, this is basically the spectrum. Pretty much, I would say it goes from like a multivitamin supplement to a donut or a croissant. Just like croissant, very plain, does not have many like vitamins, minerals, all those micronutrients that you do want to be getting.
But it has a lot of energy.
But it has a lot of energy.
Carbohydrates,
and
some fat in it.
And maybe if you're trying to gain weight and you're at the end of your day and you've eaten a ton of quality foods, chicken breasts and rice and veggies all day, and you had a kale shake and some avocado and coconut oil and all that good shit, and then you're like, but shit, I still have 500 calories I want to be getting in my face.
Give me a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, give me a Pop-Tart. Give me a donut. Like,
so that's what it comes down to. Like, I think if you're trying to be healthy and you're trying to have good performance and you're trying to optimize your hardware and your software of your body, that's kind of what we're about at MeatRobots. Think about getting all of your nutrients in first through high quality foods, and then where you have some gaps to fill, then go to the less nutrient dense foods, the more junk foods. And then that works really well if you're trying to gain weight, because you can eat all the quality foods you need to, but then you're just like, okay, I've already eaten so many vegetables today and so much fruit, but I still need calories. I need 1,000 more calories today. What am I going to eat? Go eat a pizza. I mean, that's not even that bad as far as like there's minimal ingredients in the pizza. You get cheese, pepperoni,
pizza,
tomato sauce.
If you make your own pizza, I think it could be pretty fine. Yeah,
pretty fine, right?
I think it all depends on just the quality of the ingredients you're putting into it. Because
exactly.
I mean, those things in concept, most people wouldn't say that like bread crust is bad. Most people wouldn't say a tomato sauce is bad. More people would probably say that cheese is bad. But I mean, it's the gluten and dairy devil, dude.
So if you're trying to gain weight and you got a lot of calories to consume, you can get away with these. If you got a lot of calories that you need to consume in your day, you can get away with these calorie-dense foods that aren't that dense in the micronutrients, that's your vitamins and your minerals. But say if you're on a cut, or you're a small person, or like you might be a female, and you don't have that many calories to play with.
If you're on some kind of caloric deficit, like I often, when cutting weight for jiu-jitsu, I would go to 1,200 calories in a day, sometimes even like 800 if I was really on crunch time. Really minimal, but I needed to lose a lot of weight.
And if he has 800 calories to eat, he's not just eating like.
I'm not eating donuts.
He's not eating like 2 pieces of pizza, because then he's
you're
neglecting himself
of
vitamins and minerals that he needs for his recovery and for his physiological processes.
Yeah.
So if you have only like 2,000 calories, or not that very many calories to play with in your diet, you need to prioritize the micronutrient dense foods because if you eat that one bagel, that might be what, like 400, 500 calories, and then you got 1,500 calories left, and you haven't even had that many vitamins and minerals. So that's kind of where the problem comes into when you have these super aesthetic bodybuilders or performance people who use flexible dieting, use if it fits your macros, and you see them talking about, oh yeah, I get to eat donuts today, like donuts and deadlifts, like great brand and everything, but
they have a lot of calories.
They can get away with
for.
eating these less nutrient dense foods because they have so many calories to play with. Like they need a lot of energy, and even if they are cutting and they can find ways to fit these foods in, but they're not basing their entire diet off of junk food just because it tastes good and it fits their numbers.
But they can squeeze those things.
Yeah,
in.
you can
and
still squeeze them in.
That's the beauty of it.
But you got to think about, if you are in a caloric deficit and you're trying to improve your body composition, you're trying to lose weight, then you're going to need to, again, prioritize those micronutrients, those nutrient-dense foods. And if you want to have some junk food, it's going to have to be much smaller portions. Like you might not be able to have a whole bag of Pop-Tarts, like 2 Pop-Tarts. You might have to have half a Pop-Tart if that's where it fits in. Like you can still have some of these good, delicious junk foods, but the quantity is going to have to be a lot less.
Yeah. When I was really down with counting my calories, I'd get up in the morning and I would actually, in my little nutrition calculator, I made my own on Excel because I'm too good to use my MyFitnessPal.
It's pretty complete. I still use the same thing.
But I would get up in the morning and I would plan out pretty much my whole day of eating because I could, and I had the numbers. I had a beautiful program that I worked up to help me crunch those numbers, help me get those numbers together. So by 9 a.m. I probably knew what I was going to eat, how I was going to fulfill my calories, and how close to my goals that was going to be. And
it's a good way to map out what you're allowed to eat.
On a Friday, if I knew my friends wanted to go out and I'd probably end up eating some junk food, I could plan that into my day, and that was a beautiful thing. Eat a little bit lighter breakfast and lunch, and have a crappy fatty dinner with my friends. That's a beautiful thing. So a lot of people really like if it fits your macros, flexible dieting for the sake of keeping their sanity.
And if you think about if you travel a lot too, you don't have to worry about getting to the best food sources. Airport food isn't the best, but you can plan it in. Or you can fit if you're on the road, if you're driving somewhere, you can
your Trader Joe's or your Whole Foods,
right?
And
exactly,
get the shit that you want for your hotel room.
Yeah, on the road, if you gotta stop somewhere quick to eat, you're not gonna find the best quality food.
But
you can plan it in accordingly. That's
a big thing. Is as far as mental health goes, as far as your social, emotional well-being, a lot of people are pretty attached to food. I really enjoy food. I get sad when I have to cut weight and I have to.
Yeah, dude, you're definitely an angry dude.
I get moody, but that's also a huge calorie deficit. And it's usually during winter, so I have a lot of factors against me. But yeah, I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people find comfort in food and this and that. And with flexible dieting, you can be successful and you can still have some of those. You can have that taste of cake. You can't eat cake all day, but you can have maybe a small piece of cake at the end of the day.
Yeah, the takeaway message is to prioritize the good food. And if you have room for the less healthy food, go ahead and go for it. But don't let if it fits your macros.
If it fits your macros, right, you can go for it.
But don't let if it fits your macros or flexible dieting give you the idea that you can eat whatever you want just because it fits these numbers. You still got to have good food.
That's the biggest thing about it is just don't let it be if it fits your mouth.
Yeah.
You do have to make sure that I think. The best way to look at it is 80% quality, mostly whole foods, things that a clean eater would choose to eat, and then you can have your shit too.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, to fill in that gap.
That's all I really have to say about flexible dieting.
Yeah, I
just wanted to get that message out that you still need to eat good food.
I think that's a pretty comprehensive look at flexible dieting. So thanks for listening, guys.
Make sure to follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram,
we'll
Facebook.
Put all those addresses and links in the description.
We'd love to hear your feedback, so leave us comments.
Yeah, let us know if you're a flexible dieter or if you eat keto or if you're on Atkins or you eat 80% carbs and 10% proteins and fats. We want to hear about it. Catch you later. Deuces.
Peace.